All right, let's get right into it. You know those conversations you have around the braai? Yeah, the ones that start off about the rugby score, but then, a couple hours in, end up somewhere, well, somewhere much deeper, much heavier. Today, that's what we're doing. We're having one of those big talks about South Africa's climate reality.
And this is the big one, isn't it? This is the question that can just stop a conversation dead in its tracks. We hear all the time that change is inevitable, that nature's going to do its thing. But then you look at the floods, you see the droughts, and you just have to ask, what part are we playing in all of this?
So here's how we're going to break it all down. We're going to start by kind of reframing the whole debate. Then we'll compare the planet's natural pace with our own frantic speed. After that, we'll look at the hard evidence, see how it connects directly to our situation here in South Africa, and then finally, we'll talk about how we can flip this feeling of inevitable into what's actually possible.
Okay, first up, to really get what's going on, we have to cut through all the noise. You know, the political spin, the super technical jargon, and just have a real, honest braai talk about what's actually at stake. And you know, that brings us to a really crucial first point. We have to shift how we even think about this. We always hear that phrase, save the planet. But honestly, this whole conversation isn't really about saving the Earth at all. Let's be real for a second. The planet is tough, seriously tough. It's been through cosmic collisions, it's been frozen solid. The Earth is going to be here long, long after we are gone. So the biggest mistake is thinking we're fighting for its survival. We're not.
Now, this is a fight for our survival. It's for our way of life, right here. It's about simple things like whether we can still grow mealies in the Free State. It's about whether the incredible, unique proteas in our fynbos can handle the heat. It's about keeping our cities livable. So the key thing to remember is this is about saving us. Okay, so that leads right into one of the biggest arguments you hear all the time. The climate has always changed. It's totally natural. And you know what? Technically, that's true. But that line of thinking misses the single most important detail of this entire story, the speed.
Now, just look at these numbers for a second. The natural cycles that shift our climate, they're called Milankovitch cycles, by the way, they play out over tens, even hundreds of thousands of years. It's not a jog. It's a geological crawl. It's impossibly slow.
Honestly, here's the best way to picture it. Natural climate change is like a slow, beautiful sunset. You barely even notice the light fading. What we're doing now? That's like someone just walking into the room and flicking off the light switch. Boom! It's that sudden, jarring shock. And that speed, that's the whole story.
And if you need one perfect comeback for that it's all natural argument, this is it. It's brilliant. Yeah, of course, forest fires happen naturally. But that doesn't let the guy caught standing there with a jerry can and a box of matches off the hook, does it? One doesn't just cancel out the other.
Right, so if we're the ones holding the jerry can, where's the proof? Well, this is where the science gets really cool, almost like a CSI investigation for the whole planet. This right here is the smoking gun. See, scientists can actually analyze the carbon in the atmosphere, and it turns out different types of carbon have a unique chemical signature, an isotope. And the signature of all this extra carbon that suddenly appeared, it's a perfect match for the carbon that comes from burning fossil fuels. It's literally our fingerprint at the scene of the crime.
So, how does this all work? Well, just think of greenhouse gases as a blanket around the Earth. A certain amount is good, it's natural, it keeps us warm. But by pumping out all this extra CO2 from fossil fuels, we're basically just throwing another, much thicker blanket on top. And what happens? More heat gets trapped, and the whole system just starts to overheat. It's that simple.
So let's bring this huge global picture right back home to South Africa. Because for us, this is not some abstract scientific problem. It's deeply, deeply personal. And we find ourselves in this really tricky situation. You could call it a double-edged sword.
And here is the tough reality of that paradox. On the one hand, our economy's heavy reliance on coal makes us a pretty significant contributor to the whole problem. But on the other hand, we are incredibly vulnerable to the effects. We see it with our own eyes in those devastating floods in KZN and those crippling day zero type droughts in the Western Cape. We are, at the same time, both a cause and a casualty.
So, what on earth do we do? Well, the path forward has to be uniquely South African. It means finding a just transition. That's a huge deal. It means moving to cleaner energy, sure, but doing it in a way that creates new jobs and supports the communities that have depended on coal for generations. It's about not leaving anyone behind. And just as important, it means we have to listen. We have to listen to the indigenous knowledge, to the elders and the farmers who've seen the seasons shifting for years, long before it was a headline.
Okay, this brings us to the final, and maybe the most important part of this whole conversation. It's so easy to hear all of this, the science, the risks, and just feel defeated. A sense of fatalism, like it's too late. But it is absolutely critical to understand that inevitable change does not mean impossible to deal with.
Which leads to the ultimate question, right? You just want to throw your hands up and ask, if some level of change is already locked in, what is the point? Why even bother?
Well, the point is this. We're all on a massive ship. Mitigation, that's like slamming on the brakes, trying to stop the ship from hitting the iceberg at full, catastrophic speed. Adaptation, that's steering the ship, turning the wheel as hard as we can so that if we do hit, it's a glancing blow, not a head-on disaster. We have to do both. There's no other choice. We must do both.
And the good news is, we are doing it. South Africans, we're resilient, we're innovators, we are absolutely punching back. You can see it all across the country, inspiring solar startups, finding new ways to power our lives, and farmers developing these brilliant water-wise techniques to grow food in tougher and tougher conditions. Hope isn't a strategy, but action. Action is happening right now.
So here's where we land. The Bry Talk, it has started. We know the science, we see the effects with our own eyes, and we get our unique, difficult position in all of this. The seasons are undeniably shifting around us. So the only real question left is, what do we do next?